let's talk about up-and-coming players out on the PBA Tour. Mark, you coach them. Dave, you're a father of one of them, Corey Husted. What's your take on Corey's game and the state of players attempting to bowl professionally both on the regional and national circuits?
Well, Corey, he's still got a lot of work to do, but he's learned that he's got to throw a little straighter, keep the ball in front of him a little bit more to be more consistent. Mark's worked with him a little bit. We're probably get him down there to work with him a little bit more, but the game's always changing, the conditions are always changing, equipment, the whole thing, but he just needs to be overall a little bit more consistent. He can wrench on it like all the big boys, but he needs to get a little bit more finesse in his game. I think it'll help him out a lot. And
a chance for dad and son to Husted to win a PBA title.
Well, we were fortunate enough last fall to win a doubles event, and Corey basically carried me in that, to be honest with you, but he bowled really well. But it was a lot of fun. It was very gratifying, and love to do it again. Any chance we get to see father-son coming up in the next PBA Tournament of Champions? Oh, boy. Probably not. Probably the young one will carry on the name for a while.
Well, we had to ask, and we certainly miss Dave Husted, Hall of Fame career competing out on the lanes. And Mark, same question. What are you seeing from some of the younger players that are attempting to have PBA Tour aspirations?
It isn't any different than when Dave and I bowled. It's a hard racket to break into. And the reason why it's so hard, I think, is the guys that make the top 15 or 20 money winners, they don't give those spots up very easily. The way I put it, the top 10 guys all have nice houses. They have big mortgages, and they're going to make their money. So anytime you want to break into that, it's always pretty tough. There's not a lot of tournaments to get used to it right now. So obviously, one of the young guys is Bill O'Neill, and he's doing his thing. It's a tricky thing to break into. It's never been easy.
And let's talk now this World Series of Bowling coming up. November 4th starts right here, live on Xtra Frame. Get your subscriptions now, $64.99 for the year, $29.99 will get you a special World Series of Bowling subscription, good through November 30th, www.xtraframe.tv. Dave Husted, if you were back in the competition mode again, assess this upcoming World Series of Bowling, your experience of last year's event and this year's event. How do you prepare for something of this nature?
That's tough. There's a lot of intense bowling in a short period of time, as you well know. I would just get the patterns out and bowl on the best I could, try to dial in my equipment the best I could, and go from there. But I would definitely try to find a surface close to where we are here at South Point, Pro-Am Lane, Brunswick Synthetic, and try to get the patterns down and just try to do the best I can and charting the equipment and learn the best I could.
Mark Baker, how would PBA Tour champ Mark Baker attack this as a player?
You got to be in great shape. I think last year what I heard from most of the guys was they didn't realize how grueling it was going to be. Some of the guys I work with, like Chris and those guys, are in really good shape. They were even tired at the end. So I think a lot of it for me would have been really to get myself physically as fit as I possibly could. The bowling, once you start bowling, I don't really worry about that too much. I like to compete. That part, we could have had more tournaments for all I cared. But to me, you really have to be in your physical fitness has to be the top notch.
And earlier we were talking about Sean Rash and Jason Belmonte in intense matchups on the PBA Tour. What was your intense matchup?
Oh, I guess me, like everybody else that bowled in the 80s, Marshall Holman and I had our fair share run-in, so it'd have to be Marshall.
And Dave Husted, same question. Speaking of intense competitors, who would get your dander up a little bit, and maybe you wanted to beat them just a little bit more?
It was always Earl for me, and we had some knockdown dragouts, both a couple times on TV. I think we split I think 2-2, but I always got juiced up to bowl Earl.
And of course, we have to include PBA Hall of Famer Barry Asher in this discussion. And for more on that, it's back to Jeff Mark and Jason Thomas, gentlemen.
Thanks, Mike J. And who was your toughest competitor there?
Toughest competitor for me was probably Johnny Gunther. But the guy I really liked to beat the most, and I didn't beat him, all that much, was my roommate, Nelson Burton Jr. We had some good wars. I mean, we were mad at each other when we bowled. It was fun.
Definitely. What about you, Uncensored, as far as bowling matches or whatever? I know fan-wise or competing-wise, I love watching Roth bowl, and he had so many great matchups, and he was one entertaining-wise. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, right now we have some good rivalries out on tour. Obviously, the first one that comes to mind is Belmonte and Rash that we just talked about. There's a lot of, but that's kind of more of a, one situation that blows up into a big rivalry. They're going to be rivals, though, because they're at the top of the tour and they're fighting to be the alpha dog. But right now, they're one step below who I think are the alpha dogs, which is Barnes and O'Neill. And I think that's a big rivalry right there. And then if Tommy Jones, gets healthy and he comes out and bowls like I think he's going to bowl this year, he'll be right there in that mix as well. And then you're going to want to watch all those players bowl each other every week. And I think that's how it was back when you were bowling. You had all these great players that were just fighting it out every week, and there are all kinds of rivalries. They're just fun to watch.
We bowled a lot of tournaments. We bowled 35, 36 tournaments a year. And, I mean, every time I think back on it, and when I bowled Don Johnson, it was a thrill. I mean, I lost to him on TV. I beat him on TV, both here in Vegas. When I think back, and Johnny Petraglia and I talk about it, and Johnny and I travel a lot together, to us, Don was the best. Dick was just a little bit past his prime, but he was Dick Weber, and he was awfully hard to beat. But for my money, it's like you say, who's the best bowler you ever bowled against? It's Don Johnson.
Of the new era right now, I mean, I've been on record as saying I don't think anyone has been in Chris Barnes' league other than Bill O'Neill within the last year. But who's the most impressive bowler to you, say in the last 5 years on tour, or who impresses you?
Chris, Tommy for a while. PA when he was going good, his intensity. I watched him practice. I never saw anybody practice that good except for Nelson Burton Jr. But and the left side is it's a horse of a different color. When they've got it, it's tough. They're tough to beat. And last year they didn't have it too good. We'll see what happens. But he really had a great run. But for consistency, week in and week out, I mean, you've got Chris, you've got Norm, and you've got Walter. And you can.
How do you think he's going to do this year?
Who?
Walter.
I don't know. He's kind of banging on those seniors a little bit, and Walter likes to bowl.
Yeah,
Let's face it, he loves it. That's what he does. He is a bowler.
Right. He just won a regional last week.
He just won a regional, and
yeah, it wasn't even close to his hometown either.
He'll go. I asked him. I texted him one time. I said, "Hey, if there's a 50 and 60-year-old tournament in California, you want to bowl?" He says, "Yeah, tell me when and where. I'll be there."
That's a good partner to have in your back pocket.
Yeah. He could carry me.
He definitely likes to bowl. So a lot of storylines coming up here at the World Series. Obviously, Walter Ray on the senior tour. Ron Moore from the senior tour is going to be competing this year in the World Series of bowling. And what a story he is, and what a great guy and a competitor he is. And I am looking for really good things to come from Ron Moore out of this World Series of bowling. I think he's going to have a very good time of it here.
I think of anybody that's ever come on the tour as a senior, with the exception of the great players, the Tommy Bakers and Walter Ray's a senior now. But from what I've heard, I don't know Ron Moore, but I have spoken to him on the phone. I have a friend in Alaska. This guy is in shape. He's in great physical shape. He's in great mental shape. He bowls all the time. If he goes to practice 10 games, he's using 10 different balls, and he's trying to bowl it on 10 different shots.
Very, very, very smart competitor,
Yes.
very good competitor. He has a high rev rate, so the players out here are not going to force him left.
No,
he can play with the big boys, and it's not going to be a problem for him. And he knows his equipment. He knows how to move. I think he's going to be very, very competitive out here.
And he's fresh. He wants to do it. He wants to do well. He wants to prove that guys over 50 can compete with younger guys, because it's still bowling, and he is. It wouldn't surprise me for him to do real well.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what he does, and is the kind of guy you can't hope but root for him too.
Absolutely.
So, all right, well, that's going to do it from us. We're going to throw it back to Mike J. Laneside.
Quality time with PBA Hall of Famer Barry Asher. And welcome back to the World Series of Bowling Warmup. Mike J. Laneside alongside Mark Baker and Dave Husted. And Mark Howard Guth, fan of the PBA on Facebook, comments, tell Mark Baker, thanks for great camp bakes at Yosemite Lanes in Modesto in mid-September. I'm trying to put his tips to good use. Howard, you just told him. What's coming up next for Camp Bakes?
Let's see. I got the World Series coming up next. I've been traveling quite a bit. I'll be here for the whole World Series working with my guys. And then the next camp I'll have will be in December, the 10th and the 11th at Fountain Bowl. Chris Barnes and I do a 2-day camp. And after that, some stuff early in the year back east, and then in May, be back to Camp Bakes again here in Las Vegas.
And how do I get a hold of you on that big World Wide Web?
Mark at markbakerbowling.com is the easiest way to get a hold of me.
And that's Mark Baker. And Dave Husted, as you look back on a great PBA Tour career, what are one of the two things that stand out for you in your long and distinguished career?
Oh, just being able to make a living at what I like to do. I mean, I didn't think of it as work. It was just I loved to bowl, and I got paid for it. It was great. It was great. It's something I would never change for ever.
What's coming up next for Dave Husted?
Well, just working. Got the bowling centers back home, and just trying to stay busy and keep things afloat at home. Things are going pretty well, so can't complain. Family's good. Life's good right now.
Fantastic. That's Dave Husted, PBA Hall of Famer. Mark Bakes of Camp Bakes fame and others. Look for him on the World Wide Web and here at the World Series of Bowling. And a big thanks to PBA Hall of Famer Barry Asher.